Today is the 2nd of October, 2021. We've come together to practice the Dhamma. And the mind that's able to achieve peace and collectedness needs loving kindness and compassion, these qualities of metta and karuna. And these qualities of loving kindness and compassion are meditation objects that are part of the four brahmaviharas, the four divine abidings of loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. These are meditation objects that are able to bring our minds to peace and unification. Some individuals that are of a dosa character or aversive character, they get angry easily, feel vengeful, or wish to harm or hurt others on a regular basis or very often. So someone with this character type should cultivate the meditation on loving kindness and compassion, because this meditation can help cure its opposite. It's just like when we have a cold and we seek to cure the cold, or we have a skin problem, get some medicine for the skin, or we get a virus or bacteria, then we seek a medicine to cure that illness. Then we see that this dosa, this anger and aversion, it's a disease of the mind of one type. It's one type of mental illness. And so we use the medicine of loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. This is something that all people experience, this quality of dosa. So all people have this type of illness, because all people have this clinging and attachment to the sense of self, and comparing oneself with others, and feeling that oneself is greater, equal, or less than others. Particularly if one feels that one's self is lower than another, not equal to another, then this quality of jealousy can arise. This can happen in one's studies. One feels one can't compete with a fellow student, or the other student does better than oneself in some field. And then the mind, in a not good state, will give rise to jealousy. Or at work, someone will be in a higher position or higher rank, or be better at a certain task, and then jealousy will arise here as well. So the four divine abiding meditations can help with these experiences, particularly mudita, sympathetic joy. It's a mind that's empathetic, sympathetic to others. We see that one who's a leader has a higher position than others. It's because their mind has already been trained well. It's a mind with the four divine abidings: loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. So this is a mind that has merit, has humbleness, has empathy. And when the mind is humble and empathetic like this is a mind with goodness, with merit, that has good karma. And this type of mind will be born in a high rebirth, a high place. And others will respect oneself. And this is because of the goodness that one has built in one's mind. We also recollect that loving kindness is one of the araka kamatanas, one of the great protection meditation objects. And if we have samadhi, if we have collectedness already, and we have loving kindness established in our minds, then our samadhi, our collectedness won't degrade. So these four divine abidings of loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity are all important meditation objects for our minds, and we should seek to establish them well in our minds. We can ask ourselves, well, one with loving kindness, would they hurt others? would they try to kill others or damage others? We see that a mind with loving kindness won't wish harm on any other being, won't kill or hurt any other being. So we see that this loving kindness, it leads virtue to be established in oneself, particularly the first precept of panatipada, not to harm or kill, not to kill other humans or other beings. So one who has loving kindness in one's heart, one has loving kindness and compassion, won't kill other beings, because they see that other beings have suffering already, that all beings have to experience old age, sickness, and death already, and that all beings are the same in this regard. Having been born, beings receive their karma, and so that life can be difficult already, and beings experience suffering already. We can look at the example, for instance, of cows or buffaloes. They didn't get born into this life thinking they're born for the sake of being the food of humans, but they're born according to their karma. But some individuals, it's their livelihood, it's their job to kill animals like cows or buffaloes. And this, making this type of karma can lead to an animal rebirth, can lead that human to be an animal themselves. And sometimes their face or skin will change, and upon death they can be reborn in an animal realm. Or if their karma is even heavier, then they can go lower than the animal realm to hell. So we may have heard ourselves that someone who kills a lot of animals like this, like cows or pigs, upon death they'll make sounds like a cow or like a pig as they're dying. And this is because of the karma that they've done. So mind with loving kindness won't harm or won't kill the lives of others. And some people, having been born, they need to care for their livelihood in different ways. They may kill animals to make some money, or they may kill animals for eating and to feed their family. And they feel that this is something they need to do to survive. And this is normal that this occurs. But we practice to see the drawbacks of this type of behavior. And even if we kill 6 days a week, then at least on the lunar observance day, the Wat Marp, then we uphold the precepts and practice not to kill on that day. And on the lunar observance day, we go to the monastery to chant, to meditate, to practice the Dhamma. And we do this regularly. It can give rise to wisdom. There's one disciple of Luang Pu Cha who was a farmer, and he would often kill frogs or toads for food. He came to listen to the Dhamma, and he felt this sadness arise in his heart that he didn't want to kill anymore. But he thought to himself, well, what should I do? It's my job, this is my livelihood to kill in this way, to care for my family. So he contemplated this all the time, for a long time. And he did give up killing, but he still was breaking the legs of the frogs, so he still felt sad. And then there came the point where he was out catching frogs, and the ones that were caught already, he contemplated, and he still felt the sadness in his heart, so he released them. And his friends who were out there catching frogs with him, they were wondering, well, where did these frogs go? How'd they escape? So we can see that one with faith in the Dhamma will let go of frogs in this way. And after this long time of him contemplating, he went and told Luang Pu Cha this story, and it took him time to stop the behavior of killing, because he felt he needed to do it to care for his livelihood. But in the end, he had the intention to stop, and he did stop catching frogs. So this is having mindfulness and clear awareness to recollect that killing is a type of unwholesome karma. So it's a type of negative karma. So we have mindfulness arise, and we can remember the teachings of our great teacher. And then based on this remembrance, the recollection of the teachings, we're able to stop this behavior of killing. We're able to cease the killing. We can also look to larger animals that humans kill and eat, such as deer, pigs, or cows, or buffaloes. And we know already that, for instance, cows, it's a type of red meat, and that red meat can lead to cancer. For instance, one can look at Australia, which is a developed country, and they inspect their food very well. And they look at the meat and inspect it for chemicals and various chemicals that shouldn't be there. And so the level of food safety and level of care with the food is very high. But you can ask, well, do they have cancer in Australia? And you say, well, yes, there's a lot of cancer there, particularly cancer of the intestines. And this one cause of this is because of eating beef and eating red meat, which is a cause for cancer, leads to cancer. And we can see one of the reasons for this is that when the animals are about to die, they are experiencing a lot of fear, a lot of terror. And so these chemicals of fear are released throughout their body before they're killed. So an individual who eats a lot of this meat, a lot of this red meat, it'll cause the cells in their body to change, and this will lead to cancer. So we should contemplate this. Contemplate to have loving kindness, to have sympathy, not to harm any beings. And if we eat meat, this is not in itself a bad karma, or it's not against virtue. But if we eat a lot of this kind of meat, then it can lead to the degradation of our bodies and lead to cancer. So if we know this well in our hearts, then we'll try not to do it. We don't kill, we don't order others to kill, we don't wish for anyone to kill for our sake. And so when our minds are established in this way, it's not a bad karma to eat meat. But if we like the flavor of meat a lot, then this can lead to harm, and it can even eventually lead to the behavior of killing. For instance, for myself, when I was a layperson, I didn't know about virtue. I didn't know about the teachings on sila that the Buddha taught, and I wasn't established in sila as a layperson. So I was at home, and we had a live fish, fresh fish that were still alive. And the fish were there for my family to kill and cook in order to get the flavor of fresh fish when we ate it. And I was the eldest child at home at the time because my older sibling had already gone to school. So I was asked to take care of the fish for the family to eat. And so at first I did hit the fish and kill it for the family, but I felt very ill at ease in my heart. I felt very unhappy with this situation. And I thought of the rebirth of the fish. And I felt it was something that I had to do. But the next time the occasion arose where I was asked to kill the fish to prepare it, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I couldn't accept doing this act. I was just a child then, but I still had this feeling in my heart, this feeling deep down, that I really didn't want to do this action. I didn't want to kill the fish. So no one had said anything to me or taught me anything about this, but I just couldn't do it. And I was a child, so I didn't know if I didn't kill the fish, what would happen to me? Would my family have nothing to eat? I just didn't know about these things, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it, so I stopped doing it. I didn't kill the fish. So the innermost heart in me was like this. I just couldn't accept doing this action. So after this point, at my house, we didn't have live fish there to kill, to eat, but instead my mother would go out and buy fish that were dead already. And sometimes she would walk past a fish seller, and the fish seller would only have live fish there to sell for people to buy live and then kill themselves. But my mother, seeing that there were no fish that were dead already, would simply walk past that stall without buying anything. But she found that when she returned back by the same way, that same fish seller had some dead fish out for sale. And so it was as if the seller knew what my mother's intention was, not to buy any live fish. And so sometimes it's like this. But my mother had no intention for that person to kill the fish for her. So this is an example. So therefore we need to practice and train our minds in loving kindness, to have loving kindness established in our hearts. And even if we encounter hard times or difficulty, we can still live in this world. We can still live with ourselves. And we can consider again the example of cows, which are a larger animal, and they have their calves, the baby cows. And these cows are killed for humans to eat. So we contemplate this issue. When these cows and calves go to the slaughterhouse, it's very difficult for them to escape that situation, very difficult for them to survive. But there are some occasions, sometimes there's an individual with a lot of loving kindness who seeks to help them. For instance, there's a story of one disciple who practiced releasing cows that are set to be slaughtered, cows that are pregnant, or adult cows and baby cows as well. And this disciple would release 1, 2, 3, and this disciple has a great deal of faith and released 1,000 cows in this way. This is something that's not easy to achieve, or it's not something that comes cheaply either. It's something that requires a lot of money as well. So just one cow can cost around 30,000 baht. So it ends up being using a lot of money to save this many cows. So we can see that this is a lot of loving kindness in this individual to help cows in this way. So we should contemplate this issue. We see that the Buddha taught to contemplate food, to contemplate the issue of eating. We don't eat in order to delight in the flavor of the food we're eating. We don't eat for the sake of the deliciousness of the food, but we eat in order to have energy to survive, energy to live our lives and do what we need to do. The Buddha taught the simile that imagine one was traveling through a desert with one's beloved child, one's only child, and that child died because of a lack of food in this desert. And this child that was your dearly loved child was dead, and you had no other food. And if you didn't eat anything, then you yourself would die as well. And so one may eat their beloved child for the sake of survival, the child that one loved. And so eating this child that one loved, how would one feel? one would eat out of necessity, but not out of delighting in the food. So the Buddha taught to contemplate food in this way, to give loving kindness to the beings that brought the food to us, not to delight in the meat that we eat, but we eat meat for the sake of taking care of our bodies, not for the sake of liking the flavor. Because if we like the flavor like this, then this is unwholesome karma. It's not in line with loving kindness and compassion. So for monastics, we need to be well established in these first 5 precepts, first of all, and have loving kindness. And if we like the flavor of our food in this way, it can be a type of karma for us. So we need to be careful about this. So this quality of loving kindness is something we need to practice and cultivate. We have loving kindness and compassion to help those that are in pain and suffering. And there are many examples of even animals having compassion for humans. For instance, a child floating in floodwaters, and a dog seeing that child, the dog can go jump in and help that child. And we see it's an animal, it's a dog, but the mind of that dog can still be very good. And there are many examples and stories of animals having loving kindness for each other, for other animals of other species, and for humans as well. For instance, gorillas helping those that are in a state of suffering, or gorillas helping humans that are in difficulty. So this is the quality of having loving kindness. And there are many stories like this of animals helping humans. Even animals that a human might want to eat, but still that animal helps the human. Another example is a kangaroo in a forest fire, and that kangaroo experiencing a lot of suffering, and it went to seek out humans, went to seek out their help, because it felt like it was, or the kangaroo wouldn't harm the humans because it was in danger and in suffering, and it was just looking for help from the humans. So even animals that normally might be fearful to us, but when they're near the end of their life and they're in some kind of deadly danger, then even that fearful animal may come seek the help of humans. And for monastics, it's part of the monastic discipline not to eat the meat of certain animals. Monastics are forbidden to eat the meat of horses, tigers, humans, elephants, dogs, snakes, lions, bears, panthers, leopards. And if one were to eat the meat of these types of animals, then the other animals that are still alive would know that one had eaten the meat of that species. For instance, if one eats dog meat, then other dogs can smell that one has eaten dog meat, and they're able to know that. There's another example of a medical practitioner whose job was to perform abortions on others. And so this individual did a lot of abortions and ended the lives of many fetuses. And so this built up a certain type of energy around this person who performed the abortions. And when this individual helped with the birth of a live child, when she picked up a child, the child just started crying because the child was receiving the energy of this person who had caused the deaths of many fetuses. because the child didn't know that this medical practitioner had done these abortions, but they got a certain feeling in their heart that led them to feel ill at ease and to cry. So these qualities of loving kindness and compassion, they bring quality of coolness and ease to our hearts. The fully self-awakened Buddha in a past life as Suvanasama, he lived in the forest with his ascetic parents, and for a radius of many kilometers around where they dwelt, none of the animals would hurt or harm one another. All the animals lived in harmony without harming each other or harming the humans. And these animals felt very full in their hearts and felt content. They had no wish to harm. And this is because of the energy of loving kindness from the Bodhisattva in that life as Suvanasama, where he perfected the parami of loving kindness. So we see that this energy of loving kindness and merit brought peace and harmony to all the animals of the forest. So this is something important. So therefore, may you cultivate these qualities of loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. May you build them up and cultivate them in your heart. And if there's someone that you have a disliking for, may you contemplate that all beings go according to their karma, and that whether one likes them or dislikes another person, contemplate that it's their karma, and then you're able to have loving kindness for them, and then this can change the mind of the individual. So again, we recollect loving kindness as one of the great protection meditations. And it's a type of meditation that can improve our minds and help our minds be well established in virtue, particularly the first precept, be very well established. So may you be intent to train your minds in this way, to have virtue as a foundation, and to practice to train your mind to see everything as empty, to be able to see and know the Dhamma. So may you set your hearts on training the mind in this way.